Hey champion, Velco Chief here, the professional problem solver and founder of Velco Academy. Listen, I used to sell cars just like you, and before I moved into the coaching world, I used to live your life. But here's the difference. I sold 40 cars a month, working only 4 days of the week. That's right, 16 days per month. And I was able to work by appointment only, and 100% of my buyers were repeat and referral customers. So think about this. I know you deserve more referrals. That's exactly what I want to teach you. So please click on the button to find out how I did it and how you can as well.
Hey, Troy, what's up, man? Troy, good to see you. Fred, good to see you as well, man. Thank you for joining. I'm excited to see you guys, man. I spent all last week on the road. I was in Jersey, and which is the Rusty family's old stomping ground. So I always send Tom pictures of New Jersey food that you can't get anywhere else. To make him miss home a little bit. But it was amazing just to be back in the trenches with my dealers. And yesterday I drove to Indiana, so I got up about 4 a.m. had a 3-hour drive, got home around 9 p.m. after coaching for the whole day. But it's been this whole thing made me realize how much I love working with you guys, and the chance to be back out on the showroom floor again was just amazing. So it's good to see you guys back here too, so let's go ahead and oh yeah, by the way, Velco, last week, just for laughs, I was actually in a key closet at a dealership. Like literally, that was the only place I had a good enough Wi-Fi signal to do our webinar. So I was literally in a key closet. It was pretty funny, actually. So today, guys, let's go ahead and dive in. It's 1 p.m., so we're going to go ahead and kick this thing off. So over the last few months, we've been really spending a lot of time focusing on the e-selling process as a whole, right? And we have talked about, overall, we've gone through every step individually on its own. But I think it's important to start, help you guys with implementation and really just diving into, which steps you are using, which ones you feel like you need some coaching on, or which ones you maybe still have some barriers around. And that's the reason I brought Velco in. And I'm going to tell you guys who Velco is here, and you can see him. He's got his video active. Guys, give me a hand raise if you guys can see Velco. I want to make sure you can see my friend Velco there. Velco Tucci. Awesome. You can see Velco. He's a good-looking guy, much better looking than me. But that's okay. It's funny because he and I have been to several conferences together, and someone will come up to us because we're always hanging out and talking about the car business, and someone will come and go, "Wow, you are good looking. You're a good looking man," or something. And then it's automotive conferences for the records, and then they'll always be talking to him, never me, But
that's not true. That's not true. Sean is using a great technique here to get attention.
Exactly. So the e-selling process, again, we talked about how to attract customers. We helped you guys develop your own value proposition, personal brand. We talked about translating the information in your CRM or on social media to engage the customer in the most effective way to get a hold of more people and create messaging that they answer back to, right? Speaking their language through the internet. We talked about creating that unique pre-arrival experience, where that's the one where Trent Tate won that contest, got himself a couple of massive, awesome pork chops from a nearby restaurant near Birmingham, his dealership. We talked about how to leverage some of the technology when the customers arrive at your store to, greet and assess their needs and to say, hey, even though the customers picked out their own vehicle online, I still need to do a good needs assessment because what do we say? We say diagnosis without prescription without diagnosis is malpractice, right? I always get that backwards. We talked about an effective presentation where you're showing the value of the technology that the vehicle has, and you're making sure you're focusing on the things that matter most to the customer. We've talked about how to instead of negotiate, to value, validate, and go for the investment options. We talked about doing memorable digital deliveries. We did a contest there. B ended up winning due to she had tied with Trent Tate. They both had a really good digital delivery story with their delivery photos. B ended up having much more quantity of them, so she ended up winning that contest. And then and congrats B on that. And then we talked about the digital relationship development, where we discussed, and we did 2 classes on that, where we talked about how to create a community of your sold customers, where you can create customer retention and a following. Last week, we really spent time doing a Q&A, and I was live coaching some of you guys around some of your challenges to these steps. Today, I'm bringing in Velko. Velko, say hi to the dream team, would you, buddy?
Hello, dream team. It's a pleasure and honor to be here today, and thank you, Sean, for inviting me.
And so Velko is I've known Velko for some time. I actually met him through social media. I met him through Facebook. Velko has been an inspiration to me in my career. So when I was a GSM running a dealership here in St. Louis, I used to follow some of my favorite trainers online, and Velko being one of them. Velko left his showroom floor about 5-6 years ago to start his own sales training business. And Velko has been, I've been watching his videos live on Facebook. He had this huge following of people on a Facebook group. A lot of Velko's practices inspired me. And I said to myself, man, this guy has a comfort zone the size of Texas. He's a true professional. But before Velko was a sales trainer, you know that saying, those who can't do, teach?
Mm-hmm.
Velko kind of proves that wrong in the fact that when Velko, goes to his dealerships, he actually will sell cars alongside you and sell cars and show you how he's doing it while he's doing it. And Velko also happened when he was full-time selling at a dealership, he averaged about 45 cars a month. And I remember, the story where Velko's GM stood up in front of a conference and told everyone, like, you need to learn from Velko, because of what he does. Velko, not only did he sell 45 cars a month, Velko, how many days a week did you work to do that?
4 days a week, 16 days a month.
No. So a lot of the e-selling premises that we talk about are things that Velko not only teaches, but has used in his own automotive sales career to work smarter, not harder, and be more efficient and effective with his time. Velko, in the beginning of e-selling, I showed you guys that tractor picture, right? The one with the machine guns. And I talked about how we need to be hunting, farming, and engineering all at the same time. Velko truly understands this concept, and he has trained, salespeople from coast to coast. And also, when I set out on my own to start my own business, and I kept picking up my phone to record Facebook Live, and I just couldn't hit the record button. I think I shared the story with you guys. I actually had to hire someone to get me to go live, to get me through that barrier. So I actually hired Velko. He drove down from Chicago to St. Louis. I introduced him to DriveCentric. He helped me go live after 5 or 6 times. I was like, okay, I got this. I can do it now. So Velko's, again, been a great inspiration to me. 45 car leader in the auto industry, and he's been training salespeople for a long time. And he was kind enough to join us here so I could share, so he could share what he does. And I'm going to go ahead and hand this off to Velko. And Velko's going to share with you guys, all sorts of stuff, but he's going to really spend some time talking about social media marketing versus selling and best practices. So Velko, with all due respect, my friend, take it away. And I'll pause you and ask questions if we need to elaborate. And guys, also please know Velko will be more than happy to answer any questions you have. So remember, you got a 45 car salesperson here who never had to take off and work 4 days a week. So pick his brain, man. Be a sponge with Velko. Velko, go ahead, brother.
Yes, Sean, thank you so much for the kind introduction. You're amazing, and I appreciate you. What people don't know is that you're helping me a lot with coaching and becoming a better leader. So I am so grateful, just as grateful as you are, for our friendship. So thank you so much for the great introduction. Real quick, without wasting everybody's time, I do have my chat open, so I'm watching your questions as they come. I'm going to answer as many as they come. The most productive way for us to spend the time is if you ask me specific questions and I can give you specific answers. But in order for us to, we're going to talk about social selling and social marketing. In order for us to progress in social selling, we need to invest a lot of time. So the best analogy is kind of like planting a tree, and you don't see anything going on for 2-3 months, and you don't see much. It doesn't look promising even after 6 months, and after a year, the tree is starting to grow, and after a couple of years, you start to pick up fruits every single year, every single season, and you know exactly what to expect. and it has an exponential growth because you believe in that tree now, and you're planting more trees, you're planting more seeds. So I wasn't always selling 40 cars a month. In the beginning of my career, I was strictly transactional salesperson. I was very competitive, and I was just the most aggressive person, which takes a lot of effort. It's very stressful, and I'm sure most of you top producers know how inconsistent that is. Every single month, you go from hero to zero, right? So you don't want to experience that. So the first decision you got to make is whether or not you want to be transactional salesperson or relational salesperson. What I believe right now, during COVID and because of social media and internet, transactional salespeople are going to be forced out of the industry, and they're going to be replaced by either artificial intelligence or website or an app. Because when it comes down to transactional business, it's all about the price, right? So if you're not competitive with the price, and if it's all about the price, then it turns into all about efficiency. If I can see the price and I can do it fast, why do I need a human being to be involved in that transaction? So the transactional mindset is going to eliminate the salespeople. And a lot of dealerships right now, and I'm sure Sean can testify with that, some of our clients of Velco Academy are breaking records with half of the team, and some of the other clients had laid off, other most of their team, and they're looking for ways to sell their dealerships, and people realize that more productive sometimes means less, and only the relational salespeople, the people that have some type of following online or or they've been in the dealership for 5 or 6 more years, and they have some following from their repeat clientele, only those people are now surviving, and not only surviving but thriving. The people who had transactional mindset are really struggling right now to find some business, right? So you got to make a decision to whether or not you want to invest in transactions or relationships. I think that the business is forcing you now to build relationships, and we were never in a better situation to build relationships through social media. So customers versus clients, sacrifice for your income versus control your income, linear income versus passive residual income, depending on the weather, depending on COVID-19, depending on advertising of the dealership, or choosing exponential growth with the power of leverage, where you make all the decisions at the table, adapt to your client's buying style every time, or having all the clients to adapt to your style and the way you do business. So those are the decisions you got to make right now as a sales professional if you want to survive in the car business, right? If you have a transactional mindset, and if you feel that you could survive just by waiting at the door for people to come in, or counting on the dealership strategy for branding and social marketing, then this is like gambling, right? If you're hoping that the dealership is going to have a successful strategy so they could create enough opportunities on social media for you, this is really a bad gamble, right? So what I would do if I was you, and I was you for over 7 years in my career, I was able to sell 3,000 cars, and after the second year in my career, I chose to invest in relationships. I chose to work with people who appreciate my time, people who show up for the appointment, and people who already have decided to do business with me. So in relational selling, people choose to do business with you, and you choose to do business with them. So it's a matter of connecting with the same people and the same group of people. So there are 5 or 6 reasons why people would show up to your appointment. Right now, everybody works by appointment only. So one of the reasons why they would show up for your appointment is because they like you. If they don't like you, they wouldn't show up. Then another reason why they would show up for the appointment is because they feel obligated. Another reason why they would show up is because they're familiar with you, the dealership, or the product that you're selling. Another reason why they would show up would be because they understand the reciprocity. They know that they're going to get exactly what they're looking for. Another reason why they would show up would be because they have a fear of losing the opportunity. Right now, a lot of dealerships have problems with inventory, or they're hoping that they're gaining something comparing to other dealerships, right? So you could combine all that by creating a nice video, which is something that you've been working with Sean. So what I would suggest right now for the fastest transition to become relevant in social selling period is to drop most of the traditional methods of communication like phone and email. If you do email, to do a video email. If you do text, to do a video text, and to try to implement video with every single communication effort that you put in right now. And you're going to see tremendous results. So if you decide to do your follow-up today, if you have 40 two-way communication goal to make a two-way communication with 40 potential prospects today, try to make that communication either on a FaceTime, try to set up a FaceTime call, a video call, a Zoom call, or send them a video message. That's going to improve your method, your show ratio tremendously. So the difference between social selling and social marketing, right? Social marketing is something that is designed to drive awareness. It's something that constantly has to work like a machine. So the best way to understand social selling and social marketing is, right now there's a lot of censorship with Google and Facebook. I don't know if you've noticed, with all those posts about COVID and things like that, Google and Facebook just takes down some of the posts, right? So that, and a lot of people are complaining. They're saying, hey, our First Amendment, our Second Amendment. What people need to understand is that this is a different world and it has different government. So Google is the government of that world. And they have their own rules and they have their own etiquette, and you have to follow their own way of thinking and their own way of existing. So the more presence you have in the World Wide Web, the more real estate you have in that world. So the more people see you on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, the more exposure you have. And the more exposure you have, the more influence you have. And the more influence you have, the more people are going to follow you and the more power you have in their decision. So the way power was distributed before was, yes.
And I want to check one thing. One of the when I was first launching my coaching practice, I was able to talk to one of the grandfather of executive coaching, and he asked me what I was doing to grow my business, and I mentioned social media, and this ties into what you just said. And he explained to me it's like a wheel that's constantly turning.
Yes.
And when you post something, you end up at the top of that wheel, and then someone else posts and you move, and someone else posts and you just get pushed down. So to Velko's point, you want to be, how do you remain at the top of that wheel? Awesome. Keep going, Velko. Sorry.
Yeah. So the social media marketing is something that you choose to invest 100% of the time. It's something that doesn't stop. So what are the differences between traditional selling and social media selling? In traditional selling, there is a lot of qualification. There's a lot of getting to know each other. There's a lot of breaking down barriers and breaking the ice. That's not necessary in social media selling, because all of the information is shared up front. So if you want to get to know someone, all you got to do is collect the dots and connect the dots. And right now, artificial intelligence allows some of the businesses to invest in artificial intelligence, and artificial intelligence can do that in 2 seconds. They can collect all the dots from all social media sources and deliver the business the information on how qualified the buyer is. Because at the end of the day, what matters to you is buying power. And buying power is their ability to buy, their motivation to buy, how close they are in the funnel of actually saying yes, where they at, are they kicking tires or they're ready to give you the credit card, and the timing, because everything in social media is about timing. You can turn off a prospect if you're too aggressive and if you're asking for the sale in the wrong time, and that could really kill the deal right away. So a lot of salespeople treat social media selling like traditional selling, and they treat every prospect and every potential opportunity as an internet lead, which is not an internet lead. Internet lead are people at the bottom of the funnel who are ready to go, and social media prospects are sometimes tire kickers. So you need to build that trust before you earn the right to sell, which moves us into the marketing area. So in the marketing area, marketing is also done differently. In traditional marketing, companies and businesses and salespeople promote themselves. And a lot of sales trainers from the past would tell you to go out there and to share 10 reasons why people should buy from you, and do the chest beating and tell what makes you different and what makes you unique. And that never made me feel comfortable. So I want to show you something really quick. Because the best way to promote yourself, you can't sell yourself better than somebody else, right? So I have the traditional old school evidence manual here. And if somebody says, you didn't sell 3,000 cars, well, I have every single one of their testimonial right here. So those are all of my clients, pictures of them. There's literally thousands of clients here, right? So all of them have given me a written testimonial.
So these guys talk about their culture is all about dominating your role, right? You guys tell me that is not a shining example of freaking dominating your role. I mean, every 3,000 testimonials and delivery photos right there. Pretty
yeah.
much.
And besides that, I have a video testimonial from every buyer, which creates a tremendous bulletproof reputation online. So in sales, it's all about leverage. The more leverage you have, the more you can use takeaway close, the more you can move people closer to saying yes. And the more leverage you have in today's world, leverage is measured on how known you are online. Can I Google you? Can I check you out real quick? And if you are well known, you would have the most property in the internet. So if I see results, when I Google Velko Tuchiev, and if I see 3 pages of results and I own every single result, that means I have a lot of property. I'm a rich man in that virtual world, right? If you're trying to be on a down low and be like, man, I don't want to share stuff on Facebook, or I don't want to have social media. I want to have my personal life. I want to be able to, keep things in a nutshell. That's not possible anymore. Okay, our privacy has been completely destroyed long time ago. And if you if you're in sales and if you're worried about your privacy, you're definitely in the wrong business, right? So the more information you can share about yourself online, great. But the real deal is when other people share information about you. So all those people who are sharing the information about me, the reasons why they bought the car from me, I also use their name. So if somebody Googles their name ever, the chances are, because they want to be on a deal, they're going to see a video testimonial of them sharing good information about me. So imagine that. If you right now Google sold by Velko, it will take you to a video with 2,000 customers sharing testimonial about buying a car from me. And if you Google any of those customers' names, you would most likely come up with a video where that customer, see the first result. It's you would see, the customer sharing information about you. And then the other misconception about social selling is this: 80% of all deals, 80% of all transactions online and offline are made because of social media recommendation. So right now, people don't believe traditional media. The last interest for advertisement and commercials was in the Super Bowl. Those were the most interesting commercials. So people would wait all year to watch the Super Bowl commercials, and otherwise they were not looking forward to commercials. So the big companies clicked on that and they started putting their money in traditional advertising, away from traditional advertising, and pouring into social media. But in order to win in social media, you got to follow another algorithm that is different than traditional marketing. So in traditional marketing, it's all about getting attention, big shiny gorillas, balloons, blah blah blah, because you need to get people's attention with like large bold promises, right? 0% for 84 months, no payments, no money down, right? So those were the way to get attention. In order to get attention with people on social media,
saw that their internet engagement went up. The amount of customers that did credit apps online went up. So just by giving people line of sight to the process, you're educating them and you're creating trust and comfortability. And that's what Velko was talking about. He said, I design my own process because I know what the consumers like and don't like. And Velko, so he kind of created his own process, his own experience. I'm not saying you guys go blow up your manager's process or anything, but just educating your customers on that process and being transparent about it. That can be part of your pre-arrival experience, right? Where you outline each step and then in your meet and greet, again, outline the steps that you're going to do with them. And because you only have, one chance to make a good first impression, right?
That's right.
And how can we get good, honest answers in our needs assessment, which is what it takes to land them on the perfect luxury vehicle and build value, right? The only way to get those honest answers and from the customers, if we have that trust. Fastest way to build trust is clarity, clear expectations. Of course, the long-term relationship, meeting and following through with commitments will also do it, but that is an important point. Velko, I appreciate you continue where you're at with finding a bigger purpose for what you do. I love this. I just posted about that in my group today. Did you see that? I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. And Sean, I agree with you 100% on what you just shared. And the part about the bigger purpose is because in today's world, you got to aim for little bit. There's a story about Bruce Lee, and a lot of people remember Bruce Lee, and I don't remember the movie, but his sensei was teaching him how he needs to go through the wood if he wants to break it. He needs to go far beyond, right? So my goal, because I realized by choice where the world is going, in 2010, 2008, 2010, I started using social media because it was free. And back then, there was only 100 million subscribers. Right now, there's over 1.5 billion people on Facebook. So if you're not taking advantage of organically creating awareness of yourself on Facebook at least, or Instagram is on fire, LinkedIn, untapped territory. Sean Kelly can tell you about LinkedIn. And if you're not doing that, it's really a waste, because those platforms are going to be paid one day. And the more time and effort you've invested now while they're free, 5 years from now, it will cost you more money to get attention on social media, because this will be now the way. It will be the only way to do things, So if we go back to purpose, my purpose was to get the testimonial and to get referrals from each client, because I knew that if I get the testimonial, if I get somebody to agree to go on a camera and say, this guy is the best in the world, and I normally don't go on camera and promote anyone for free, but I will, and I gladly share 10 names and numbers with him so he can call these people and serve them well the way he served me. So I felt if I get to that point, I'm doing my job, and my success will be inevitable. And think about this. If you're trying to get to the NBA and your goal is to be, I want to play in the NBA, I want to play in the NFL. When you get to the NFL and when you get to the NBA, right now there's 400 players in the NBA. And we know on the top of our hands, I know 10 or 12. There's probably 30 or 40 that I've heard of, and I can recognize their names and their face. But the other 300 players, I don't know who they are. So there are those people who put their goal of becoming an NBA player, and when they hit that level, they're an average NBA player, and that's where the dream dies. That's where there's no movement, right? But if you say, I'm going to be the best player who ever played the game, getting into the NBA is just a step, is just a condition of getting to your dream. So I said, I want to be the person with the most testimonials, the person with the best reputation. I want to be the person that has the most real estate, and the person that can flex the Google ability and the credibility online, because I know we're going to come to a place where I will have to prove that to people so they do business with me. Right now, none of you would rent a hotel room without checking out the reviews. Never. Some of you wouldn't even buy a gum without checking out the negative reviews about the gum and how it could potentially hurt you, right? So we are at the point where reputation, credibility, is a huge reason why people do business. And we're going to go to radical transparency.
I love, and by the way, guys, Velco's sharing a very powerful mindset here, you know, and one of my favorite sayings in business and life in general is, if you think big and you do big things might happen to you, right? So if Velco said, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to be the person, the go-to person for all of the people in Chicago for their automobiles, and I'm going to get more referrals than anyone has ever done in the car business. He's thinking big, he's doing big, and he did big things. And by the way, Velco, I do want you to share some of your referral techniques. I think that's a really touchy area for a lot of highline people because they, and does this lump into e-selling? It's still selling, right? I think this is a touchy subject for a lot of highline people because like, am I going to be viewed as unprofessional for asking that corporate executive or, you know, that person that makes $250,000 a year for for referrals, you know? And I think every salesperson, well, let me say 95% ask for referrals the same way, right? It's, hey, if you know someone who needs me, I'd really appreciate, or needs a vehicle, I'd love to help them. Here's my car. And they're like, and the customer almost always says, yes, okay, no problem. They get what they ask for, right?
That's right.
Some of your referral techniques, and then I also want to block out some time for the customer experience because, and I know some specific best practices that you do, and just from our work together at different dealerships, and I want you to share some of the some of the experience stuff, but I'll ask you specific questions on that here in a moment.